Thank you everyone for being here. We're really excited to have the opportunity for Sayuri to share this case study on Mondragon Team Academy. As you know, this event is around the Learning Planet Festival, an event that's going on. It started yesterday around the International Day of Education, and it has different events happening remotely all over the world. This one specifically is focused on well-being in higher education. We are so glad to have you all here. Sorry. I think it's a good time to start. We'll be having other participants join as we advance in the session. I'm going to start introducing a little bit about the Wellbeing Project and the WISE Network. We have a few WISE Network members here. So please, if anyone has any comments or things they'd like to add, please put it in the chat. After presenting the WISE Network, Sayuri will present a case study on Mondragon Team Academy. Sayuri is a co-leader for our WISE Network too, so she can also share about the WISE Network in general. So thank you all for being here. To start, a little bit about the Wellbeing Project. We are a collaborative co-creation, and our mission is to catalyze a culture of inner well-being for all change makers all around the world. All that the project does is in collaboration and in co-creation, as we say. The project is made up of 6 other institutions or organizations. They are Ashoka, Impact Hub, Puerticus, Georgetown University, Skoll Foundation, and Cineros. And we are convinced that this is the way that we can catalyze change, having spaces where deep mutual trust can be found, where we can each share safely and bring our different capacities to the table. This is the only way we can unleash the kind of imagination and creativity that is needed for the change that we want to achieve. And this is how the project works. I will talk a little bit more about all the different areas where we work at and work on, but it's basically, the pillar is that working in collaboration and having this safe space for everyone to come and learn and share. We truly believe that well-being inspires well-doing, and we work with change makers all over the world for helping them work on their well-being first, and then try to go out and solve all the problems of the world. We know that change makers are at the forefront of solving most complex issues in the world of humanity, and they at the same time are experiencing deep personal struggles. These struggles not only affect them, but they also affect their families, their relationships outside their organizations, and the team in their organizations. We know that they work in chronically under-resourced environments, and that the same culture of social change or the sector encourages people to focus on taking care of others or taking care of the world before taking care of themselves. We did our research on this, and the numbers that emerged from these research were impactful. Up to 55% of the change makers report burnout or depression. Up to 75% use substances to relax, alcohol, drugs, to relax or de-stress. And up to 70% express a need for personal support. So we value these numbers, and we know that there's an importance in first working on their well-being so that later they can focus on well-doing. The way that the project is structured is in 4 different areas. We started in 2012 with Pillar 1, which are model programs. We have 2 different programs in which, in the first, IDP, Inner Development Program, we work on supporting leaders in an 18-month-long program so that they can work on their well-being, learn to get to know themselves, their needs. And this program is amazing because the leaders are asked, like, who are you? Tell us who is, for example, Ale Garza, no? And sometimes they are so intertwined with their organizations that this question is like an aha moment, like, oh my God, yes, who am I? What, my organization does that and I lead that, but who am I, right? So that's the first step. And we also have organizational exploratory programs. These programs are focused on the organization as a whole, not only on the leader. The second pillar we have is research and learning. We have different research partners where we undertake formal research experiences, exploring different areas and the connection between inner well-being and social change. We also co-convened the think tank with Georgetown University last year to start generating new research. The first area of research was intergenerational trauma. That is going to be launched soon this year. And the next topic of exploration in that think tank is going to be ecological belonging. We also launched a research report last year on teacher well-being and caregiver well-being. The third pillar is convening and enabling. We have 9 learning communities or networks inside this pillar. One of these 9 learning communities is the WISE network. Each learning community convenes global, regional institutions from all over the world to provide a safe space where they can get together, get to know each other, and work together in developing new frameworks, programs, new ideas of how to interweave well-being into their work. Each learning community is focused in a different area and is very specific. And we try to meet once a month remotely and once a year in person. To tell you more about the learning communities, we have one. Well, WISE is focused in higher education. I will tell more about it in the next slide. We have one focused on defenders' well-being. It's for organizations working specifically with human rights. We have one for philanthropists, funders, to help incorporate well-being in the funding processes, or to help integrate well-being in these processes, because most of the times applying for funding or receiving a fund comes with a lot of stress and hard to reach numbers. So we're working with them to change that a little bit. We also have another community for social change organizations around the world who are already working with well-being. Another one focused on teacher well-being, specifically K-12 teachers. We separate higher education specifically for that WISE network. So this one is K-12. And if you know of anybody who wants to join or who is interested, please, you can reach out to us. I will put my email in the chat later so that you can reach out. And lastly, our fourth pillar is storytelling and connecting. In this pillar, we look to foster a new cultural narrative in the field of social change. We work creating articles, social media, webinars, events like the summit we held last year in Bilbao, to keep spreading the word and provide these spaces to meet each other and share and make well-being a topic that's less of a taboo. Start normalizing it. Much that happened during the pandemic as well, that the topic is being normalized a lot. And well, now going into the WISE network specifically, that's why we're all here for. WISE is a collaboration co-founded and co-created with the University of Virginia, its Contemplative Sciences Center, and the Innovation and Team Entrepreneurship Unit of Mondragon University, which Sayuri leads, and she will tell us more about it later in the session. This network began in 2018 with only 11 members as a pilot phase. We are now 80 members, planning on growing to 100, so we're expanding. And please, I repeat, if you have anyone in mind, please reach out. We'd love to onboard them to the network. The purpose of the network is to inspire and facilitate the culture of inner well-being in the social change field through the education of adults. We want adults to graduate inspired to start their programs or to keep their programs growing, but with these tools in hand to know how to take care of themselves and take care of their well-being. And in WISE, the question that we collectively exist to answer together is, how do we educate the emerging generation of global leaders and change makers in a way that centers well-being and flourishing for all? To achieve this, we have 5 objectives. First, like I said, purposeful collaborations. We try to catalyze purposeful collaborations inside WISE, create a global movement in social change educations where our members know that they can reach out to each other. And as our second objective says, share best practices, learn from each other, share tools, and create new experiences together. Our third objective, creation, create new models and tools for the field, as I said. Fourth, do research and scholarship within the field. And fifth, help raise awareness, prominence, and funding for this global movement. We know that this movement started small. We're now rapidly growing. As I said, we have 80 institutions who are members, a total of around 200 people who are part of our network. And we want to spread the word and raise awareness of the importance of this topic. And the way we accept new members is the institution must have a program or set of programs in social change or innovation. They must have existing support within the university or program, and the university or the institution must be focused in education for adults. We ask that this support exists because even though joining the network is free, we ask that the members join us at our in-person gathering, and that's where we ask for like a financial assistance from the university, and also so that things can be put in place. If we work on new frameworks and new programs in the WISE network, and then you guys go to your universities, we ask that they support you in putting them in place and having these changes applied and being made possible. And lastly, the truth is that everyone can join. Everyone working in higher education and with interest in well-being can join our network. We're looking to support radical diversity in our network. You can see my email below. I'll share it in the chat, as I said. Please reach out. As I said, we're looking for new members to join. And now I'll pass it over to Sayuri. Thank you.
Thank you, Ale. It's always a pleasure to remember why we are here, no? At WISE Network. We have a lot of members here, but for me, it's also very refreshing and reconnecting with the roots of why it's important, the sessions that we have or the commitment that we are trying to address within our organization that I think many times is a challenge, no? To really make space, time, and to have resources to actually create well-being within higher education, no? Because maybe there are certain things that apparently in the structure of the universities or higher education institutions seems to be more important, no? But well-being, I think that is a place to start actually changing, no? And if we want to see that we are doing a social change and actually providing something better for our society, well, this is very key and very urgent to address. So I'm very happy to be here with you. Again, very honored to be part of the WISE network. I'm very grateful also to be part of the co-leading team. In my case, as Ale mentioned, I am part of the Mondragon Team Academy team. We understand ourselves as teampreneurs, that we work in teams. Sorry, because in this presentation, I did it by myself, but I'm seeing here Gaisu, and I'm thinking maybe it was a better idea to do it together, right? So, Gaisu, if you want to also to intervene in any moment, feel free, please. So for those that don't know who we are or what is Mondragon Team Academy, I would like to make an introduction framing who we are, with what we belong to. You can pass it, yeah. So Mondragon Team Academy belongs to Mondragon Corporation. Mondragon Corporation is the world's biggest cooperative corporation group. It's structured into 4 business areas: finance, industry, retail, and knowledge. In my case, in our case, Mondragon Team Academy belongs to the business area of knowledge. In the knowledge business area, we have different faculties. It's important to understand that it's not that we are like one structure. So Mondragon Corporation is the core that holds us together, but actually it is made of 95 autonomous independent cooperatives. So in my case, I belong to one of those cooperatives, that is the Faculty of Business and Administration. And it's inside that Mondragon Team Academy was born. If you want to know more about Mondragon Corporation, in the website, you will find a lot of information and documentation of the case study, because right now it's a reference on how to make businesses and actually be present in different areas, countries, and have a successful case study on how to do business and cooperation with another belonging model, and also talking about cooperatives and working cooperative that is equal to the workers are owners of the company. We own the company, so we are co-responsible and co-leading the future of our corporation. So you want to pass, Ali, please? So we were born, our origins were in this ecosystem. So the Mondragon Corporation companies, almost 15 years ago, they came together in a general assembly, and one of the things that was arising was the issue that students from our universities were really well prepared regarding knowledge, but not actually on skills. So they were saying they were not ready for the actual work that they were asked for. No, so what was there outside the world that we could incorporate into our faculties or into our curricular programs that actually face that challenge of people getting well prepared after university for the real world, and not only from the theories of things that happen inside the ecosystem of a university. So one team of 4 people 15 years ago came together to make a research, and they found a case study of Team Academia in Finland. Where the Team Academia this year, they celebrated 30th birthday or the 30th anniversary, sorry, of Team Academia. So from that case study, we learned a lot, and we actually make a partnership with them. To how can we adapt their methodology and to take advantage of their expertise to bring it to our country. In this case, Spain, the north of Spain. Sorry, I didn't mention that. Mondragon is based in the north of Spain, right? And that team incorporated also a person that was graduated from Team Academia, and Kaisu was also, her studies were based there in Finland, right? And then inside of the Mondragon University Business Administration Faculty and the MIG Management Research Center. So that team belonged to that faculty, as well. And inside that, we created Mondragon Team Academy. So we are the unity of entrepreneurship of the Mondragon University Business and Administration Faculty. So this is our structure, right? We were created in 2008, and this is our ecosystem, or our first team was created here, in the north of Spain, with 2 teams of 15 people. Yes, please continue, Ale. So now going more in detail of Mondragon Team Academy network, we would like to understand ourselves more than a university. We are an ecosystem. We are an international community. Right now, we have 2,500 team entrepreneurs. That team entrepreneurs is a terminology that it's a heritage from Finland, but it refers to students. In our case, we call them team entrepreneurs and not students. Teachers, that in our case, we name them team coaches, because in my case, we do classes or this format of the students being passive, but we are all, or we understand ourselves all as teampreneurs, or people learning through the creation of teams and through entrepreneurial projects for social change. And we have right now a global network of social innovation ecosystem labs that will be like equal to what in many universities is called campus. So we understand ourselves also not campus, but a social innovation ecosystem. Our mantra, or our main call is team learning by creating, because it's from day one methodology based on learning by doing, and to actually from the first moment to create a real environment for learning and experimenting. We have our different ecosystems. Right now we have in 10 cities, and some of them in the making. You find there the cities, Irún, that is where I'm based, in the north of Spain, Oñati, Bilbao, Madrid. We also have in Mexico, and Berlin, Seattle, Costa Rica, and in Chile, we are also talking with people. And in our case, we build these social innovation ecosystem labs in close partnership with organizations and companies or other universities that are based in those places. So Mondragon University, Mondragon Team Academy manages entirely Irún, Oñate, and Bilbao, that are 3 of those social innovation ecosystems, but the rest of them, we do it in collaboration, in partnership with the implementators, local implementators, because we understand that those organizations are the ones having the expertise on the local ecosystems. So 4 years ago, we incorporated into our learning model and curriculum of the degree that we hold. I'm going to go through also our programs. We introduce 2 learning processes related to personal and collective well-being. So Mondragon Team Academy, you have programs, right? Right now, I'm going to focus in the case study of that has impacted 2 of our programs. The main program is LANE, that is a bachelor degree. It's an official European bachelor degree on entrepreneurial leadership and innovation. We also have master and professional programs, and we have a team mastery training for teachers, or in our case, team coaches. And we also have programs for government, programs for adult education to create businesses or small businesses. Yeah. So LANE degree, right? Because one of the things that maybe was not clear is I was mentioning Mondragon Corporation. Inside Mondragon Corporation, the Faculty of Business Administration. Inside of that, the entrepreneurial unit, Mondragon Team Academy. And inside Mondragon Team Academy, 2 of the programs. One is the bachelor degree that is called LANE, Leadership, Innovation, and Entrepreneurship. And then the team mastery program that is focused on training the teachers. So in our case, this is our journey of well-being, from realization to implementation. It is true that our ecosystem was unique, or maybe we understand ourselves like that, because we were already doing this journey from going to the traditional education methodology to a radical experience of learning from reality. That was, as I mentioned before, 15 years ago. So this transformation inside the university already was a reality for us. How does it is a reality for example, in our case, in each of the learning labs, what we do is that from day 1, we have students, team entrepreneurs that come into our bachelor degree, and we create teams. 2 teams of 15 to 18 people or young people, and they have a company. So they set up an actually legal entity to have the ability to create businesses together. And each one of those groups of students, or companies in our case, they have a team coach. And our work is to be facilitating their learning process, and to support them into many areas. Okay? But also we have the team coaches, and we have also the role of assessors or advisors that advise them in terms of business, technology, financial, legality, and so on. And we have a team also of mentors that they go deeper into the part of business development. So the team coach is a key piece in terms of well-being, because it's the one taking care of the relationships inside the team and the values from where they are becoming entrepreneurs, which kind of projects to actually spark conversations that matters, and to keep the track of individual and team and company development inside the 4 years of the degree. So from day 1, this means that they need to go outside in the real world and create projects to sell their businesses, to create ideas, and to actually invoice money that they will invest in their development. So our journey started on well-being specifically in 2016. After 9 years of our degree, we realized that there were many things that maybe from the dream that we have of making this a reality to the reality of making it happen, we learned a lot of what were the mistakes that we were having inside the bachelor degree. And one of them was the importance of recognizing well-being in social transformation and in entrepreneurship, right? Because was there, like very tacitly in the conversations and in the degree, but it was not actually something that we gave importance, neither from the team coaches or for the students or team entrepreneur side. And what made us realize this was the Shoka Fellowship recognition of one of our co-founders. So there we started a team of teams inside Mondragon Team Academy to redesign the curriculum. So from 2016 and 2019, with this team, we had recollected different ideas and we started to refund our curriculum, like which are the things that are working, which are the ones that not. By 2018, one of the things that we did was to create prototypes and co-design with our ecosystem, meaning that we involved in the design of the curriculum and how to, not only the part of well-being, but also we introduce different changes, regarding also introducing more technology and technology for good, what we call how to apply technology for good inside entrepreneurial projects. And also we redesign the part of the incubation and acceleration programs inside the bachelor degree. But as Anne mentioned before, as in this case, we want to go deeper into the well-being case. But we did that through this mentality of prototyping and co-designing, always with the users and together, not with this vision of teacher to student. Okay. And for that was really, really key to join the founding members, to be founding members of the WISE network with that pilot group that Ale mentioned. It was inspiring, and I was honored to be part of that, as well as one of my teammates. And we were able to realize that it was not something crazy that we were thinking, but that actually other organizations and higher education institutions were doing, inside their curriculum, and that we were not alone. And also it belonging to that pilot group made us realize which are the things that we maybe were doing wrongly or with the wrong focus. Because one of the advantages was that we have institutions that could be like Virginia University, that they have a lot of experience or more years or more time doing what we were only beginning to do. In that 2019, one of the things that we did was to have a qualitative research on negative emotion within the bachelor degree, so aside the pilots. And then we have the pilot experiences to test the premises. Which pilot experiences, which kind of, well, we did a retreat with the students in one of our campus to really understand what were the things that they were worried about, if they were matching the ones that we found, and also how they were seeing well-being from their perspective or point of view. For example, one of the main outcomes of discoveries from that pilot of the retreat with the students was that for them was really, really key to address the gender conversation inside the faculty. That was something that they wanted to have inside the experience of the bachelor degree. And it was 2018, and the conversation of gender was just rising, and gender and power, because in entrepreneurship, there are a lot of things regarding the archetypes of the successful entrepreneur, and that we have a lot of things to work. For example, another pilot experience was more focused on how to create communities within the bachelor degree to start supporting each other in terms of health. For example, it was in our China campus that some of the students based there, they started in a community of runners. So it was through running to spark the conversation of well-being, for example. Another pilot, for example, was to create dialogue groups and monthly sessions. And this is important because was the pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic and confinement here in Spain, allow us also to make a lot of pilots online and to actually call for all the students or team entrepreneurs of our community from around the world. And so we created communities, monthly communities of students and team coaches, where we addresses different topics. One was mental health, the other one was emotional health. Another was also how we address diversity in business creation. Another pilot, for example, was the creation of an online training program based on the book of Erin Meyer, The Culture Map. So because one of the things that we do in our program is that each year, the team entrepreneurs, they travel to a different destination of the world. So to face how is to make businesses in another country that is not yours, with another culture that is not yours. With this different conclusion of the pilots, we create the first version of 2 learning processes that are incorporated in our curriculum. That there are 2 processes. One is called personal development and well-being, and the other is empathy and diversity. So as you can see, the names also gave us, or they give a sneak peek of which is the focus that we want to give each other. By 2020, we actually received the accreditation for this new curriculum by ANECA, that is the Spanish certification organization. So to make it official, the changes that we introduced. And we started the implementation manuals and training programs for the different laboratories and team coaches of our network. We incorporated in the Team Coaches training program one module of also personal development and well-being, and empathy and diversity. By 2022, so last year and this year, we are focusing in implementation. We have now the 3rd year, and a bachelor degree here in Spain is 4 years. We have the 3rd year already implemented with these 2 processes in place. And we are looking into the future because improvements through the collection of feedback, and we have the challenges of measurement results and more research, because it's important for us, was important to track from the day 1 that they enter to the last year of the bachelor degree, how this incorporating these 2 processes has impacted actually in their understanding or the way that they create businesses in the future. So this is a challenge that we have, because it's for year you need to also reach a lot of resources and have a lot of focus and create tools for that to happen. But we are on our way. When I say that we are in implementation phase, this means that currently 300 people in our network is having this focus of putting well-being and empathy and diversity in the center of the conversation, and on how we create social change through entrepreneurship in teams. Yes, you can move forward, Ale. So going deeper into the curriculum. This is something that we call the Falcon model that I mentioned before in the timeline. The Falcon model is the name that we give to our curriculum program. We understand it, and this is a heritage from Team Academia, how they understand the process of team entrepreneurship. We understand it as a way to measure, to design, and to take track of the development of the students inside the bachelor degree. We understand the learning, and we track the learning in 3 different layers. So there is the individual performance and learning processes, there are the team community learning processes, and the company learning processes. This means that we track individual performance, the team community performance, and the company performance. Each one of these circles that you see in the screen relate to a specific process inside the team entrepreneurship journey. And each one of them has their own learning results. And each one of them is related to certain skills and competences that we train during the 4 years of the bachelor degree. So personal cultivation is focused in the individual layer of what we do inside the degree. This means that each students, they have the certain indicators to put focus and to see each year if they are actually putting attention to those key performance indicators relating to their personal cultivation. In the part of empathy and diversity is focused more in the how do we address the well-being, but as a collective actually in the team and in the team company. And in this time also in the empathy and diversity process, we also have indicators that measure for the students as a collective how, for example, we are building a safe space inside our team, or in the individual. One of the examples is how am I facing the different conversation and problems that address inside our company, for example. Ale? Other thing that we did, and this was really key to belong to WISE network, to understand that this was really important, is to define our model of well-being inside Mondragon Team Academy, because it's not everything. So we did this journey to the leading team of the well-being, how to introduce the well-being, to thinking that well-being was only having some yoga classes and workshops inside the university, to actually see that was about defining what is well-being for our community, and to adapt it to what we already were doing, to the needs to the students and the organization. So our definition of well-being inside Mondragon Team Academy is learning to be humans and create positive impact together. This is for us, what is well-being. And we also did that research on the different models that exist, and we ended up with this. For us is to address the personal cultivation as an individual, the social cultivation, and the spiritual cultivation. And the team, and this means that in balance is to have a team entrepreneur, or in our case, that is the person that create teams and create projects for social change in a state of well-being. And what makes that possible is to focus in the awareness on capacity to be present, into work and emotional intelligence, and into the team learning by creating culture. That this means that they build their own tools. So we don't give them in our methodology the tools to address well-being or to measure their well-being, but we challenge them through the key performance indicators to actually create their own tools. And this was really important for us because we have people from different cultures. So what we don't want to do is to kill diversity in that sense. Now we are going to see how that works. No? We want to collect all the tools that the different companies from the different laboratories created during the 4 years. Okay. Also, we created how we implement this in our ecosystems that we call the MTA, the Mondragon Team Academy Catalysis Formula. So the well-being model, and then how we implement. And in our case, in our methodology, this is like a very engineering way of seeing the things, no? Because life is not percentage, but to understand more or less. 40% of actually well-being being a reality in our organization is the commitment of the team coaches or the teachers to this. So team leading by example, we're creating that leadership model. What this involved a lot of things, no? At the beginning, I remember that I was spreading the word of well-being, and I found resistance inside the teachers team or team coaches team, no? People that maybe for them it's also very difficult to address emotions, or that you think that you don't want to meditate, for example, because it's weird, no? So slowly also was to change this culture, and was really important the language in which we were creating the sessions with the team coaches. To make them realize that it's not only about that, no? the different stereotypes that we have regarding well-being, but that is open also to diversity and the importance to have it in the center. So that is 40%. And remember ourselves that as team coaches or teachers in our organization, we hold that 40% of responsibility of experimenting in ourselves the well-being, to actually provide a safe space for the students or team entrepreneurs to make it a reality. The other 30% of the implementation is the having inside each team of students a well-being catalyst or leader. No? One person that is actually committed to this inside the team to lead the well-being and the empathy and diversity processes inside that group of students. The other 10%, we understand it as the community events and labs space. In our case, because we understand our campuses as laboratories, is more like a co-working space kind of environment than a faculty environment. So community events, we found that they are key for well-being to be actually a reality inside our ecosystem. This means that, for example, in the events, we can bring, and this is co-led by the team coaches and the students, a person that inspires us, or we can bring the workshop of yoga, that we actually can bring in that space of the 10% of the community events, or we can bring a speaker, So it's more a space for this kind of more traditional things, but more like into a spirit of an event than a regular class. The other 30% is content, so theory and practices that we are basing a Moodle course that is a learning platform, and they have the different theories, practices, some recommendations that they can actually take and implement inside their teams. And then the other 10%, the figure of the role inside the team coaches teams that can be the kind of well-being assessor. So the teams, if they have different doubts on how to implement different tools or how to read certain theories that they don't understand fully, to have that figure of an advisor or assessor to actually guide them to the application of the practices. So with this, I like to understand what we do in Mondragon Team Academy regarding the implementation of well-being, like an iceberg. So in the top of the iceberg is our Falcon model or learning curriculum, because through that curriculum, they assess themselves and we assess them, we validate the assessment, and we gave grades. So for me, this is key because they have 2 subjects and European credits that are related on how well they are taking care of themselves. So, but this is the top that they see, the indicators related or the things that we ask them as key performance indicators to reach regarding their well-being and the empathy and diversity. And again, they are not indicators that, because this is one of the key findings, they are not to add pressure into the system, but actually to put focus and to inspire them to create tools for their own well-being, collectively and individually. Then going deeper into the iceberg is the base, is our well-being model, how we understand in Mondragon Team Academy the model and how we define well-being. And in the deeper part of the iceberg is the implementation model, because that is actually what holds together and guarantee that this will happen. And I mentioned that in future, in will, because we are aware that we are not in the perfect state. So it takes time. We have 3 years now of experience of this model. And I think yet we need to change a lot of the culture in the different laboratories. Maybe in the ones that are closer to Mondragon, meaning the Irún, Oñati, Bilbao, and the one also that Kaisu belongs, that is a format that is nomad, because we have people from different cultures spending 1 year in this format in different countries. So maybe I will say that these 4 laboratories are stronger in the culture of well-being, but then we also need to rethink if the implementation model is making sense, and if it makes sense also how we scale this in a proper way to have more impact in not only in the students or team entrepreneurs and team coaches that are closer to Mondragon University faculty, but also the ones that are abroad. So with this, I would like to open a small space for dialogue. And sometimes it's difficult for me to get everything together, especially if in a foreign language that is not my mother tongue, but hope this was useful for you. But mostly I would like to open a space for questions, dialogue, and so on. So thank you. I don't know if you have something to say, something that was not clear, something that you would like to add to the conversation.
Thank you, Sayuri, for sharing. It's amazing to read how everything evolved since 2016, when one of the co-founders got to experience it personally, and all that you have accomplished in this time. If you guys want, you can also share in the chat. Also share if you're doing something that's similar, if anything resonated, if you visualize this happening in your institutions as well. Or any questions about the whole process?
Sayuri, congratulations for your journey. It's really amazing to see how also this participation in the WISE network made you reflect on the models that you would like to incorporate, right, in your program. How will it be based? Because I understand that it was through our conversations that you started this work, right, on the models that were on the basis of what you prototyped. So it was, so first you did the prototype and then the models came afterwards. How was it?
Yeah, it was kind of parallel, but yes. First, for me, first, if I want to put it in a linear way, was the awareness. Okay, this is the things that we need to have in consideration, no? Like, where can we start with this? So realizing that we needed to define well-being for our community, and actually understanding that in our case, was easy to start prototypes. And through prototyping and to allowing our different communities and learning labs to create their own prototypes was also a way to collect diversity, how everybody was understanding well-being. And yes, so was to the process that one of the, in the pilot group of the WISE, one of the things that we did was to share knowledge regarding the design thinking process. So we, through that, to have a common framework to what are we doing, and the piloting was there. So, and then was not actually, it was in parallel from the prototypes, understanding what we were learning, and then to have that ingredient was also important, to have feedback from peers, you know, from the WISE network. We are doing this. What do you think? And from that feedback, we realized, okay, you need to redefine the well-being before going forward. Okay, we define it with then again prototype and so on.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Nadia, go ahead if you'd like.
Yes, hello from Ottawa. My name is Nadia Bouzafa. I work at the University of Ottawa, and I had the privilege of being able to visit in person and to see the physical space that you have in last summer, and thanks to the WISE network. And I had just some things I would share about that, and then a comment, and then a question. And so what I would share about what I remember about the space was seeing an enormous room with dividers and couches, and it was like seeing 12 living rooms side by side, you know, seeing the team spaces. And I thought, this is perfect. This is a place where people can feel they belong, they can feel creativity. I also saw one of the initiatives that had been started up that was, we were told the person had graduated like 3 or 4 years earlier, but that the space was, you know, continued to be provided because the initiative was serving such a wide community, and Mondragon wanted to continue supporting it. So I remember the physical spaces and how they're so different from rows of chairs nailed into the ground and things like that. It was really, you know, really inspiring. So the second thing I was going to say was that I'm really grateful that today's presentation is being recorded. I'm hopeful to gradually, essentially share these kinds of things with other colleagues at my institution, so that enough of them will understand about this and there will be change. And what I think, sorry, there's a cat in the background. What I think is that, for me, a lot of what I see in those slides seems replicable, like that it would be incredibly difficult to do the first time and a long iterative process over and over to check that everything was working, but that if it's all been tried and tested, you know, where you are, I wonder if it would now be easier to be tried and tested, adapted in other places. You know, that it's the hardest time is the first time. And then after that, it could be easier, hopefully. And then my last question, or my last point, was a question. Because I feel like I may have asked this before, but I don't remember the answer. Do you give grades in your program? Like, is there a relationship between the instructor? Because I remember you saying what you call them students, not students. We're all learners, so we don't just call them students. Is there a relationship where there's a judge and judged? You know, there are students who receive grades that are, you know, determining whether they get scholarships and money for food and things like that. And then there are professors who give them. I was just wondering if that relationship is there. Thank you.
Thank you, Nadia. Yes, definitely. But well, reciprocal, I don't know if it is entirely, because it's always about people, right? And on that, we need help, because how to make this a model that actually can support other institutions is something that we want to do. Because the journey, as I mentioned before, started not with the well-being introduction, but before that, no, 15 years ago, when 4 people inside the faculty that found their team was brave enough to challenge the institution and to say there is another way of learning. And we found one, no? Was the case also of Timmy Academia. So we were actually getting referrals and inspiration from other institutions, no? And they were brave enough because at the beginning they sat down inside a room of the faculty with 4 chairs in a circle. So that was radical in that time, 15 years ago. And the people from the faculty were, the story says that they were like in the room and people in a small window were laughing at them, right? And one of the things that happened was that they go, and this is particular to our, because those 4 founding members, 3 of them were already cooperativists. So they also co-own the faculty. So they have the power of giving, to actually raise their voice and say, this needs to happen. And they give a condition to the dean and say, we want to make this happen. And we don't need the money, the resources from our university. We will go for resources to our government, because we want to have our own budget to make this happen and to be independent in terms of taking decisions. So that was really key for the beginning of the creation of the unit. And 7 years ago, we were not a unit. So we were only like a degree inside the faculty, and that was comfortable for everybody. But now, because we grew, and actually the bachelor degree has become bigger, and we have more also revenue, we started to have power in the conversation, and we became a unit. So I think that is also an important part of the history that maybe I didn't tell. Then the other thing regarding grades, yes, we grade. So team coaches have these two different roles, and we have the theoretical model of team coaching. It is more based in coaching, no, than in teacher-based theoretical model. So we have different roles. One of them is to we don't assess, we don't give them grades. We validate the grades that they give themselves. So 2 times per year, we have evaluation processes. They evaluate themselves with the guidelines of the Falcon model or the curriculum program. No, it's one of the processes, the key performance indicators. They assess themselves through a 360 evaluation. They gave themselves like a qualitative assessment and a grade, because we need grades. Because if we didn't need grades in the system, we don't believe in grades, no? But they do have to put themselves a grade. And then their peers, they give them feedback, and the team coach validates that feedback at the end. And there is a grade, in the system.
Thank you, Sayuri. We got other questions in the chat. I'm going to go over them quickly these last few minutes. I think you answered right now. First, Jack Wheeler from Denison, who's also a WISE Network member. He says, thank you, Sayuri. This is helpful to see your process of implementation. 1, will the slides be shared? And 2, our university is in the process of adopting the Okanagan Charter, which has many parallels with this work. I wonder if this framework was considered in your process.
No, the slides will be shared, and the Okanagan Charter was not specifically considered in the process. Thank you for the referral. Yeah.
Okay. And Kehinde from Bonn, Germany, who's onboarding the WISE network, hopefully. She says, thank you very much for that amazing presentation. I wonder if this process is documented where you could share so some of us that are only thinking of beginning could learn from your experience. I think you already shared that you're in the process.
Yeah, we are on the process. We have documentation of the how to implement different manuals for team coaches, the guideline of the well-being model. But I think right now everything is like a pieces, no, and we need to put it together in a common storyline that can help others to understand the process. Yes, so we are on our way. Yeah, I would like to receive feedback from all of you, also like to document and to say this is useful for you, yes or no. So I think that yes. The amazing part of having a community.
Yes, yes. And lastly, Lisa, also a WISE member from Dallas. Also, I love the signs throughout the building at Mondragon. She was at our gathering last year. I actually took a photo because it was such a powerful message. Si eres mujer y puedes denunciar que tu pareja te maltrata, agradecelo a una feminista. In Spanish, but in English it means a sign that was in Mondragon. If you're a woman and you can how do you say,
speak up, or yeah,
if you can speak up and say that your partner is not treating you well, thank a feminist. Great. I thank you everyone really for joining today. It was a wonderful and magical presentation. Thank you, Sayuri. As I said, I already reached out to new possible members. You can reach out to me if there's anything that you need. We will be sharing the recording and the presentation too.
Thank you for joining, everybody.